I'd like to talk a little bit about Romani Folklore Therapy. Why Romani Folklore Therapy? Why should we have a therapy of something that we used quite a lot a long time ago? Well, for hundreds of years we kept an awareness of all the things that we understood to be emanating from the other world. And it seems very strange that today we're really not using it at all, because we've narrowed it down to superstitions. Things like, if you walk under a ladder, it might bring you bad luck. If you put an umbrella up indoors, it might bring you bad luck. And if you put new shoes on the table, it might bring you bad luck. These sorts of things we tend to laugh at. Now, it's not actually that I'm speaking about. I'm speaking about something that's far deeply embedded in our minds or in our psyche. It's true to say that with an awareness of a folkloric state of mind, that we actually think differently. For instance, all the experiences that we have through our day, sometimes they're difficult, sometimes we encounter difficult people, a difficult situation that might leave us feeling stressed or anxious or depressed even. And there were numerous stories and numerous ways of discovering what we could actually do about that in earlier times. For instance, if we had an experience that relates to something that's going to leave us very stressed because it's a difficult one, and we know it's going to be a difficult one, we might have called upon a particular folkloric character. In this instance, I'll use Jack. Some of you may know him as Jack the Hero, which I talk about in my books. And we might well have carried him with us, or we might well have wanted to actually become him as we were going into this experience. It's a matter of aligning yourself with everything that's going on around you in the natural world. And the natural world, of course, is a gateway to the other world. And when we live the way we do in our civilized world, in our houses with all the things and furniture and belongings and technology and TVs and computers, blah, 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 we don't have the access to the natural world, let alone the other world. Therefore, the other world tends to be pushed further and further and further away. So where once upon a time, to use a folkloric term, we might have had Jack the Hero stepping in from the other world to help us with the difficult time we were engaged with. Now, it's hard to even visualize someone like that. It's a bit silly, isn't it? It's a bit daft. You can't visualize Jack the Hero. Who's Jack the Hero? Who the hell is he? So if you see my point, we live in this very materialistic physical world which is supposed to contain reality, and the natural world is outside of that. So when we visit the natural world, we're not actually accommodating in our minds, in our psyche, all that the natural world composed once in earlier times. That was a very different story when we could live in the natural world all the time, and coming into the civilized world would have been quite odd, especially for most tribal primitive people. So the other world was accessible all the time. And we did that through a very lively, healthy, sane and fully functioning imagination. Now the imagination is also pushed to one side. Oh, don't be silly, it's only in your imagination. Therefore our imaginations can become quite corrupted. It's almost like we're walking about with a corrupted file when we call upon our imagination. I have people sometimes who have come to me and I cannot for the life of me get them to trust in their imagination because they're visualizing all sorts of odd things. And we have to work through that before we access a much more primitive style of imaginative thinking. So, coming back to folklore therapy, what is it? It's a therapy based on how we used to live, how we used to think, how we used to feel, how we used to behave in the face of stress and difficulty. If we can start to reintroduce all of this into our lives once again, we will find that we have a much clearer understanding of our purpose in life, our role in life, and we can start meeting the very Z that we have inside us, the very soul that we have that contains our destiny, that contains what we can do to help ourselves go along through life. We're also full of corrupted thinking. I'll go as far as to say that because we become stressed all too easily, we become depressed all too easily, and it's perfectly understandable in this world. Now, the therapy that I'm introducing helps us to rediscover the old way of thinking. We can rediscover a folkloric state of mind, and by doing that, we can assist ourselves to conduct an inner healing. Our inner worlds are not stupid, but our inner worlds are running riot and they become quite chaotic. So we have to calm and neutralize our inner worlds so that we can reconnect with the natural world, which reconnects us with the ancient old other world, which isn't way out, which isn't fantasy land, but we must work through that, and that's what the therapy is about. It's about helping us to realign ourselves to those ancient principles and values. Now, it takes a long time. Don't think you can just go into this just like that. We've had generations and generations behind us of people who live and abide by civilized society, civilized rules. I sometimes call it the civilization game. And we have to take our time to work our way out of a civilized way of thinking and help ourselves realign with the ancient way, which is a folkloric state of mind and which calls upon our imagination in a very, very therapeutic way. How you can master this is to join me for a Butzi session. You can either do this online or I can do it personally one-to-one with you. You can find details on my websites, or you can attend a workshop where you can take part in something like this in a group, which is great fun. We have a lot of fun and discussions, and you leave feeling quite elevated. I know I do. So join me for a workshop, attend one of my talks, look at my videos. Also, you can read my books, We Borrow the Earth and Coming Home to the Trees, and also the fiction. All my books give a lot of detail and information about Romani folklore so that it can be a little bit of a warm-up to understanding how therapeutic it can be when we start to look at it in a much more detailed way. Work as much as you can to rediscover what this folkloric state of mind is about and what it can do for you. it'll certainly help you to realign yourself with where you're supposed to be in your life, and it'll help you with all kinds of inner problems, all kinds of things like lack of confidence and low self-esteem, anything that you find gives you anxiety. So I hope this is a little bit clear for you. I'll be doing more videos about this, and please do come to my workshops. I love to share things with people. And also, if you want a private session with me, just request it and I'll be happy to help. Stay in touch. See you again soon.